Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Today we're going to be looking at the DigiTech Mosaic 12-string guitar effects pedal. I don't know if you can see it here. I'll try to dial it in a little bit better. There it is. The DigiTech Mosaic pedal is designed to try to make your 6-string guitar sound like a 12-string guitar. So I'm going to show you the pedal briefly. There's only 2 knobs on it. It's incredibly easy to use, and then we'll fool around with the knobs a little bit and see what the controls do, and then I'll play a few riffs and a few songs, and you can hear what it sounds like and let me know what you think. I'll be using let's zoom out here. I'll be using my Deluxe Reverb amp and a Gretsch Country Classic. So we'll do a little some Beatles songs today, and maybe some other stuff, and hear what it sounds like. Okay, so here's the Gretsch. I'm using the treble pickup, the bridge pickup on the Gretsch Country Classic, and here's what the normal tone sounds like. I'll turn on the Mosaic, and I've got the knobs set halfway just to start. And actually, let me talk about the knobs for a second. So there's 2 knobs on there. You got a level knob on the left. That's going to control how much of the 12-string guitar effect you hear. And then there's a tone knob on the right, and that's just going to affect the treble response, or the top end of the added octave that the Mosaic is adding. So that's essentially what the pedal does. Every note you play, it's going to add a note that's pitched 1 octave higher than that note that you're playing. It's a little bit different than a regular 12-string guitar, where the top 2 strings, the B string and your high E string on a regular 12-string guitar, they don't have the string pitched an octave higher. For those 2 strings only, the pitch is tuned to unison. So basically, you're just fattening up the E string and the B string. The other 4 strings, the other little tiny string that goes with the normal string, I guess I'll call it, that string is tuned to a pitch that's an octave higher than the regular string that you're plucking. So that's a little bit of a difference between this pedal and an actual 12-string guitar. But I thought it might be a deal breaker until I actually tried the pedal, and it's really not. But you can decide for yourself. So here's how the Mosaic sounds with both knobs set halfway. Now I'll lower the level knob a little bit so that you'll hardly hear the effect at all. It's on about 1/4 now. I'll turn it up a bit. This is about 3/4. This is where I sometimes set it. It's either I usually set it all the way up or about 3/4. So here you'll hear. I'll turn it up all the way. set it back to about 3/4, and I'll just let you hear what the tone knob does. So it's just going to roll off the top end. If I move the tone knob counterclockwise, it's going to roll off some of the top end of the added upper octave that it's adding. You'll see. So here's the normal sound with it halfway. Actually, let me crank the level so you can hear it better. I'll turn the tone knob back. And now I'll turn the tone knob up a bit. Set it back to pretty much where I have it. I usually set the level all the way up, and I have the tone just maybe a hair past halfway. Here's what it sounds like without the effect on. I'll play the same part, those same chords with the effect on. Play the same chord without the effect on. Hear what it sounds like. Turn it back on. Here's something you can do with the Mosaic also. You can play a part that's not, it's not really a 12-string part, but if there's two guitar parts being played at the same time, when, you know, two different guitars are playing a solo, for example, that's an octave apart, you can use the Mosaic to kind of cover that part at a gig. Something like this. So I'll turn the Mosaic off. And if you had one part, the low part, that went something like... and then you had a high part. So if you had those two parts, and you, let's say you were the only guitar player and you needed to cover that part, you can use the Mosaic to kind of cover it, like this. I mean, it's not perfect. It doesn't sound, you know, exactly like two guitars playing, but, you know, in the mix, sitting in the mix of a live gig, I think that could work. Let me show you another thing with the Mosaic. You can use a clean boost pedal either before it or after it, and they both work just as good. I've got a Barber tone press compressor that I actually use more as a clean boost, set up right before the Mosaic, and it works great. If you have the Mosaic on for the normal part of the song, for the rhythm, and then you wanna go into a lead, a solo that you know, where you want it a little bit louder, the clean boost before it works great. The clean boost after it works great too. I've got an exotic RC booster after the Mosaic, and that sounds really good too with the Mosaic. So clean boost either before or after, they both sound good. Let me demonstrate that. So here's the so that's the regular, just the Mosaic. Now I'll turn the Barber, the tone press on in front of it, which again, I've got it set more as a clean boost. Whoops. Okay. Makes the Mosaic bloom. It makes all the notes. It just really, it does a little bit more than just add volume. I think it's kind of hard to tell through the video too. But if you heard it live, it really works well with the Mosaic. I try to use the tone press and the Mosaic together as much as I can because it really sounds good. So here's one of those chords where you do hear a little bit of the upper octave on the B string and the high E string, which you typically wouldn't with a normal 12-string guitar. But it sounds pretty good to me. It doesn't sound weird in any way, I don't think. You know, it sounds very musical. I'll play each note individually. And see if you can hear that upper octave. I'll just play an open E string. So you can hear a little bit of the, the upper octave on the E string as if I were playing along with it up at the 12th fret on the high E string. But it's not that much. It's not as strong as like if I were to hit the G string. It seems like you can hear the octaves on the lower strings more than you can on the B and the high E, which is a good thing in this case. I'll hit an open B string. You can hear that one a little bit, a little bit more so than the high E, but it seems like when you play bar chords and you get closer to the body of the guitar, when you go up into the upper frets, you can hear those upper octaves on the high strings even less. So it works out good. It kind of So I just want to show you. Now I'll show you a clean boost pedal after the Mosaic. Probably messed up the camera shot. So. So there you go. You can put the clean boost before the Mosaic or after the Mosaic. Now I'll turn on a little bit of reverb. I'll add a little bit more reverb and maybe add a little bit of delay so you can really hear how it can sound really very full, kind of like an orchestra. Let's see. So I've got the my compressor on, which is like a clean boost, the Mosaic, a little bit of delay, and I added some reverb. So here's what it sounds like that way.